Sometimes when we dream about the future, it is actually already happening. What if drones, for instance, could help produce better crop yields for farmers around the world, or replace airplanes in remote pipeline inspections? For shareholders of Ontario-based Volatus Aerospace, ticker symbol VOL on the TSX Venture Exchange, the future is now. With an exciting new merger fresh on the books, we sit down with CEO Glen Lynch to talk about what's next. It's great to see you, Glen. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Brandy. It's a pleasure to be here.
Glen, first of all, we should tackle the big recent news. Tell us about the merger of Volatus and Drone Delivery Canada.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about it. Volatus is a large-scale commercial company operating piloted and remotely piloted aircraft across Canada, the United States, and the UK. We have a little bit of technology, but we're largely a commercial services company as opposed to an IP company. Drone Delivery Canada, on the other hand, was incorporated specifically to serve the drone cargo market. And they developed a lot of their own technologies. They're early stage revenue just because of the regulatory environment around drones. So think of them as an IP company with early stage revenue, and Volatus is a more mature revenue company, but not a lot of technology. So it's the marriage of the two of them is a really, really interesting fit. And basically, we become a technology-enabled commercial company.
I want to go into that more. What commonalities and differences do the two companies have in terms of addressable markets, and what synergies will be produced?
So there's right off the bat, we mapped the organization as part of our due diligence process mutually, and we were able to realize in the neighborhood of about $3 million worth of synergies, of which 2 million of those will be almost immediate. I would say the commonalities in the two companies are really the sector that we exist in, being aerospace and aviation, but that's about where it ends. Drone Delivery Canada has focused on cargo in Canada, and that's a difficult market. I think in due course it will become very, very substantial, but the regulatory environment hasn't evolved as quickly, I think, as many have expected. It's getting there, and in fact will be a more significant opportunity. But for the moment in Canada, it's a little bit limited. So the bigger opportunities are not in Canada. They're in places like Africa, supporting, major food programs and that sort of thing. The bigger opportunity that we saw with Drone Delivery Canada was their expertise and capabilities in the remote operation of drones. So they have a centralized control center, a remote operations center. And to date, they've done approximately 7,000 flights covering almost 20,000 kilometers of distance. So they've been running, all of their flights are conducted from one centralized location. Versus Volatus, we have an army of people out in the field, with drones kind of, you'd say two guys in a truck, except there's two guys in a lot of trucks. So they're kind of scattered everywhere. So this actually, the merger of the two companies allows us to take the operating expertise of Drone Delivery Canada and apply that to the current commercial sectors where Volatus is operating, like in oil and gas and power utilities, allowing us to have better logistics, improved margins, less people in the field, basically, because now we need launch and recovery technicians, and allowing us to operate the aircraft remotely.
It's such a fascinating time to live in right now. What markets do you think have the most blue sky for the new company?
Well, long term, definitely cargo. I mean, Drone Delivery Canada had that right, for sure. It's just too early, right? It's like building the world's best mousetrap before it's legal to catch mice. And that's kind of what it came down to. The bigger spaces right now would be things like the power utility sector, which is a big sector for Volatus. We have about 11,000 structures under contract for inspection this year so far. Eventually, the oil and gas pipeline. Think of anything long and linear. So power line, pipeline, railway. Then we look at maritime surveillance activities, and ultimately activities up in the Arctic, which is becoming a growing area of concern in Canada.
Just fascinating. And when it comes to the finances too, what do the books look like for Volatus and Drone Delivery Canada in terms of revenue and cash on hand?
Drone Delivery Canada has no debt. So by the time we complete the merger the way we're structured right now, the company will have about $3 million on the balance sheet, and a business plan on a go-forward basis that achieves a targeted break-even EBITDA or slightly better this year, with reasonably significant sales and EBITDA next year. So we have a combined revenue forecast next year of 70 million. That's Canadian dollars, with a $10 million positive EBITDA as our target so far. There's some blue sky in that, but not a ton. Volatus has a very, very active sales and marketing program, one of the largest sales teams in our industry. So we have a very, very large pipeline, and we actually believe the addition of the competitive advantages from Drone Delivery Canada will allow us to accelerate some of those files.
And looking forward here, Glenn, what do you want to accomplish in the next 12 months?
So probably the biggest thing is to start bringing together the operation of remotely piloted aircraft and piloted aircraft. My background is a professional pilot. I've been flying for the best part of the last 43 years. And for me, an aircraft, whether the pilot is on board or the pilot is on the ground, it's still an aircraft. So it's a matter of selecting the right platform to do the job. Like Volatus still has, probably, I'm going to guess and say 15 aircraft and helicopters that are still piloted, representing, probably a little less than a third of our total revenues. Long term, we still see the evolution of the drone market being the primary focus. But as drones are getting larger, they become closer to what people think of as commercial aircraft today, and the regulatory environments are merging together. So by consolidating our remotely piloted aircraft or let's change the other way around, consolidating our piloted aircraft operations into the remotely piloted operated control center and centralizing them and cross-training them, there'll be additional synergies, but it also allows us to make sure that we're most efficient for our customers, offering them the right platform, the right aerial platform for the right job.
It's exciting to see where this goes. Volatus Aerospace CEO Glen Lynch, thank you so much again for joining us.
Thank you, Brandy. It's been a lot of fun.